Hi, this is Brett Ingram, award-winning entrepreneur, and today I want to share with you the entrepreneur's shortcut to jumpstart our confidence, motivation, and optimism. As an entrepreneur, three traits are super important and absolutely vital to our success: confidence, motivation, and optimism. So if we look at confidence, obviously as an entrepreneur, it's super important for us to be able to feel as though we can accomplish what we need to accomplish, right? In order to be effective, in order for our enthusiasm and for, sort of our swagger to be able to rub off on other people, we have to have it in the first place. If we don't believe that we're going to be able to reach our goals, then no one around us is going to either. It's going to be impossible to captain a ship if we're thinking, well, maybe if everything goes well, maybe, I'm not sure if we can. That's never going to work, right? We obviously have to have that confidence. And in general, it takes that kind of confidence to begin with, because we're never going to embark on a journey of doing anything great or doing anything meaningful if we aren't confident in it, irrespective of the situation. So fear, while it may be a normal element of what we're doing, we always have to be confident. We always have to project confidence and feel as though we're capable of getting to where we need to go. And that will not only help us in our own actions, but it's also going to motivate everybody around us to feel that way as well. And that leads us to motivation, which is the other thing. So while we're confident and we believe that we can get to where we want to go, we also have to be motivated. Because the greatest dream in the world, without any motivation, without any action, means nothing, right? It's not going to go anywhere. There are a lot of people that had ideas for how to do things, or ideas that might change the world, or make a big difference in people's lives, but they never did anything about it. So without that level of motivation, without feeling that drive to want to get up and go, obviously as an entrepreneur, we're doomed before we start. And so as entrepreneurs, we have to have motivation. We have to, we are the ones that sort of set the tone. And so even if we're working by ourselves, we have to set the tone for ourselves. And if we have a team or a staff, obviously we're going to need to be able to motivate them as well. And that's going to be a contagious type of effect. So if we come into the office, or if we interact with our team and, hey, geez, make sure that we get these orders filled today. Nobody's going to be excited about that. Nobody's going to be motivated. Nobody's going to want to get up and go and get things done. If we come in and we're moving and shaking and doing what we need to do, then obviously that's going to have a far greater positive impact on everybody around us, and they're going to feel the same way. And then the third element is optimism, right? So in addition to having the confidence that we can get there and having the motivation to do the work to get us there, we have to feel positive about it. Maybe we feel like, hey, that's something that we're going to be able to get to, and we're motivated to do it, but geez, the sales figures don't really, I don't know if this is really going to work, and so you can see how these things are all interlinked. They're all somewhat independent, but they all are connected in a certain way as well. And so we have to have that optimism. We have to have that sort of spring in our step, and every single day that twinkle in our eye that says, yeah, we're going to do this. And so those are super important. All of those traits are things that not only affect the way that we behave and perform on a daily basis, but they also affect how everybody around us does, whether they are team members or staff or suppliers or customers or whatever. And so we always want to be able to project that. We always want to be able to feel that. We want it to be real, because the more real it is, the more effective we're going to be as entrepreneurs, the more effective we're going to be as leaders, and the more effective we're going to be in terms of getting things done to actually be able to reach our goals. So those elements, those traits, if you will, they dictate our actions, and they affect everyone around us for better or worse. So whether we like it or not, when we are really positive, and we have a lot of motivation, and we have a lot of confidence and a lot of optimism, then what happens is everyone around us starts to feel that as well. It has a contagious effect. conversely, if we don't feel good about those things, if we aren't motivated, if we aren't working hard, if we don't have a lot of confidence or optimism, then ultimately people around us feel that way too. When I was running my computer business, we had times where things were going really great, and I was really young at the time. I was in my early 20s, and so I was very inexperienced. I didn't know what I didn't know. And one of the things that, is one of my big regrets is that I allowed people in the office to see me in ways that were less than ideal. I came in sometimes feeling defeated. I came in sometimes feeling unmotivated. And that obviously was contagious. And I see that in retrospect. I see how the level that everybody operates at will raise and lower to whatever level that we put out there. And when you have a staff of 7 people, it's super important to be able to always project that. If we don't feel that way, we need to find a way, and that's what this is all about. Because ultimately, if we allow everyone else around us to take a pass, hey, I don't just feel that great that day today. I don't feel like working that hard today. Okay, whatever. When you have a small, lean operation and everyone's operating at 60% of their capacity, you're doomed for failure. Because the fact of the matter is, you all have to be pulling at 100% when you're small, and you need to be able to do that in order to be effective and be competitive. And so it would be great, right, as entrepreneurs, if we were always on. I would love to be able to flip a switch and say that, or talk to you right now and say, you know what, 100% of the time, I'm always as confident as I can be about every goal that I've set. I'm always 100% motivated in go mode. And I'm always like 100% optimistic that everything that I want is going to come true. I'm always feeling great about it. But the reality of it is that isn't human. We aren't robots. We are people. And as people, we have ups and downs. We have emotions. We have good days and bad days. And we have all these other things. And so one of our challenges as an entrepreneur is to figure out how to level that out, how to peak the highs so we operate at a really high level, and how to minimize the lows. So even on our bad days, we're at least operating at a level that's really good, right? And if we're able to do that, we're far more likely to be successful, and we're far more likely to have a big impact on the people around us. Because dollars and cents aside, success and failure aside, as an entrepreneur, for me anyway, I feel as though when I have people that are working on my team, I want to help them be the best versions of themselves. And if I'm coming in sort of in a draggy mood, not feeling that great, I'm not helping them do that. When I'm there to empower them, when I'm there to lift them up and to say, hey, listen, you could do this. You're going to be able to make this happen. I'm super excited. Like, we're going to crush this thing today. And everyone feels like we're in it together. It rises everybody's confidence, and it rises everybody's level of play. And that's super important. We see this in sports all the time. We see people perform on a level that isn't common for them. They go to another situation where the team doesn't have the same dynamic, and they're mediocre. And you think, well, geez, what happened? I mean, did they all of a sudden forget how to play? No. They left a championship level environment where that culture was there, where people were all feeling that way, and they went to something that was subpar, and they needed that extrinsic motivation. They needed that extrinsic factor to make them do it. They didn't have it inside themselves. And so this happens all the time. And so as entrepreneurs, we want to get the best out of people for their own sake, because one of our jobs is to make sure that everybody around us improves, gets better, and operates at their best and is the best versions of themselves to the degree that we have any impact on that. And so by nature as entrepreneurs, we're pretty good about it. We're pretty good about it. But there are days, right? And there are times when we're just not feeling that great. We're just not at our best. Maybe our confidence takes a hit. Maybe we have a big deal that we were working on and it falls through. Or, we open up our email and, there's a bad customer review. Someone's screaming at us in all caps. Your caps lock key is broken. That kind of thing. And it happens. It happens to the best companies in the world. It happens to the best entrepreneurs in the world, where deals fall through, customer reviews come in that aren't glowing, things like that. And so that can sap our confidence. It can make us feel a little bit less sure, a little bit more unsure about where we're going. Or maybe our motivation is lagging on a day. We get overwhelmed by how much that we have to do. We come into the office and it's just one of those days where, geez, like 5 things hit you right out of the gate, and you're like, I don't know how I'm even going to get through this. Or you're backlogged with a lot of stuff that you don't really want to do. I've got all these tasks. I got to do all this paperwork, and I have to do all these other things, and I don't really want to, respond to all these requests and do all this. I just don't want to do all this stuff today. And so our motivation on that particular day isn't maybe at our best. And, or maybe our optimism gets shaken. We get the new sales report and the sales numbers are down. We're feeling like, I thought we were going to hit all the targets, and I really thought that this was going to be the year. And, the numbers just aren't really that good today, or this quarter, or this year. Maybe growth is slower than expected, or we aren't growing at all for a period of time. Or maybe we launched a new campaign and it wasn't really successful, or it was just mediocre. These things, by the way, all happen. And they all happen to all of us. The best companies in the world, the most successful entrepreneurs in history, have all had days, have all had times, have all had roadblocks where things have not gone their way. And so the key is not how do we get rid of all the stuff that doesn't go our way. The key is to accept that, but to figure out how can we get through this in a way where we come out the other side stronger. Because here's the thing, if we mentally spank ourselves because of it, it just gets worse. If we start lashing ourselves and feeling terrible because of the fact that, I'm not feeling my best today, and, so now I'm going to whip myself because I need to be, feeling my best in order for everyone else to feel good. That isn't productive. That isn't helpful, and it isn't going to get anybody where we need to go. It's going to send us into a downward spiral. So sort of mentally spanking ourselves is not a great idea. The other thing about it is, and this is better and worse, is that these 3 traits are often linked. So the challenge is that if one falters or lags, then there's a good chance it'll cause the others to do the same thing. And so the effect gets compounded. We start the day off and, our confidence takes a hit. So then we're not really that motivated. We don't really want to work that hard because we're sort of like, and then that hurts our optimism. We no longer feel, like we're going to be able to hit the targets or that things are all that, positive and looking up for us. And so it all sort of goes in a circle. Now, we all know that lacking in confidence, motivation, and optimism is not going to work for us if we want to build a business, if we want to be successful, if we want to be the best versions of ourselves. So when it happens, what we need is a strategy to reverse it. We need to be able to jumpstart the stall and get back on track. And the good news is, because these are linked, if we jumpstart one, again, it affects all the others, and we're likely to jumpstart all 3 and be back in a place of high effectiveness. The better news is that it's actually fast and easy to do it. We can jumpstart this in a really fast and easy way, and we can do it anytime we need a boost. So if we're feeling down in the middle of a day, if we're feeling down in the morning, if we're feeling down at night, we can do it anytime, we can do it in minutes. And we can even make a habit of it. So our general confidence, motivation, optimism levels are higher and falter less often. So even if we're a naturally really, motivated, optimistic, confident person and confident entrepreneur, we can raise that level even more as our sort of default state, right? Our resting state. And that's what we want to be able to do, because what it means is our lows are going to get, far less low, and our highs are going to get far higher. And that's exactly the name of the game in entrepreneurship and in business ownership. So how do we do that? What is the strategy? What is the plan? What do we do? Well, it actually just takes a very simple routine. And it's a routine that I discovered. It's not unique. Other people do this. I'm going to share some specifics and some distinctions about it with the way that I do it. But it isn't rocket science in terms of me developing some brand new routine, but it's something that I've used, and I've used to tremendous effectiveness. And so I wanted to share it with you, because I think the sort of the tweaks that I made to it over time have really been effective and made it simple, fast, and easy, but also very effective. But don't be fooled by how simple it is, because it's very powerful. And I promise you the effect gets stronger and stronger the more we do it. So in the beginning, it has an effect, but the more we do it, the better and more profound that effect becomes. So the process is simple. Start by creating a simple list. It could be on paper, it could be digital, it could be whatever, right? Digital is probably better because it's easier to edit the list, but if you like to handwrite stuff, that's totally fine. And what the list is we're going to make positive, empowering thoughts that connect with us personally. Okay, so I'm going to break this down a little bit. It's important to understand right out of the gate, there's no right or wrong here, right? So there isn't a better or a worse, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you personally, right? It's kind of like music. When you think about music and songs, there are songs that inspire or motivate me. Now those songs may be different than the ones that inspire or motivate you. But we both have some songs that do that for both of us. Same idea, right? These empowering thoughts are exactly the same thing. They need to be personal to you for them to work. I could share all of mine, but they may not be personal for you, so they may not work the same. So here are the frameworks. Here are a few frameworks for thoughts that we want to create. One framework is things that we're grateful for. So anything that we're grateful for, we want to be able to be able to put that in a phrase. We want to be able to put that in a sentence. So we have that written down as an empowering thought. Things that we're grateful for. A second framework is goals that we want to achieve. So if there's any kind of a goal that we want to achieve, then those are really powerful as well because they pull us toward what we want. And a third framework is traits that we want to have. So if there's anything about us personally, if there's anything about the way that we work, the way that we operate, the way that we think, the way that we're perceived, all of those kinds of things are traits, and those are things that we want to have. Those are also going to be really empowering. And then here's the trick. What we're going to do is we're going to create each thought in a simple, specific, clear sentence. Simple is very important because what we're going to do with this, if it's too wordy or it's too long or it's too ambiguous, what's going to happen is it's going to lose its effectiveness. It has to be simple, specific, concise, and clear. If you have this multi-sentence thought that you're writing down, break it into multiple, right? Make 3 or 4 out of it instead of 1. And each one should be no longer than one simple sentence. Anywhere between like 5 and maybe 10 or 15 words at maximum. And it shouldn't be any longer than that. So we want each one in a simple, specific, and clear. And by specific, we want to get as specific as we possibly can. I'm going to share a couple examples with you. Clear sentence, and we want to do it in the present tense, first person. So I and today or now or am, right? So we want it to be about us. We want it to be present tense, and we want it to be goals. We want it to be things that we're grateful for, traits that we want to have, whatever. And so we're going to do it as though we're experiencing it right now. So even if this is something that we aren't, we currently haven't already achieved, we want to pretend as though we are. So it's something we're experiencing right now. So let me share a couple of examples. One example is, I'm grateful for everything I have in my life right now. Okay, so it's present tense, it's first person, I am, right? I am, and it's stuff I'm grateful. In this case, it's a sort of a catch-all. So it's grateful for everything I have in my life right now. And that is a good one in terms of gratitude. Now we can replace that with something far more specific, if there's something specific that we're grateful for. Another one is, I have a software app that makes $1 million a year, right? It's personal, it's first person, I, it's present tense, have a software app. Now, I may not have that. That might be my goal, but I'm talking, I'm thinking, and I'm writing down the emotional phrase or the powerful phrase, empowering phrase, as though it's already happened. I have a software app that makes $1 million a year. Highly specific, right? $1 million a year. So it's not, I have a really successful business. That's too general, right? It's something that's more specific, more tangible, more real, and something that we can envision. The key is it needs to be something that when we stop and we think about it, if we were to close our eyes and we think about this, we can actually envision it being real. And a third one would be, I choose to blast through any obstacles that stand in my way, right? So this is more of a trait, right? So it's First person I, it's present tense choose, and it's choose is really empowering in and of itself because it says, I'm choosing this. This is my decision. I'm choosing to blast through any obstacles. It's really powerful that stand in my way. And that's sort of a character trait, right? I'm not going to let any obstacles stop me. But instead of saying it that way, I choose to blast through any obstacles in my way. And so this way, these are all super empowering phrases. And what we want to do is we want to make a list of 10 or more of these, and you can have a lot more. There's no limit to this, but we want 10 at a minimum. And we're going to make this an organic, living list. So we're going to add and edit as often as we need to. I've done these, and sometimes I'll say, I'll go through the routine, and I'll think, that one's sort of limp or a little weak. It doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't give me that visceral, like jolt that it should. So I need to edit it, and so it will. And so I'll go in and I'll tweak them. I'll tweak the words. I'll edit them. I'll delete ones if they become unnecessary anymore. If they're things I've already long since achieved, what do I need it on there for anymore? Let's put the next one on there. So you can take things off the list. You can add new ones to the list. You can edit them as often as you need to. The key is to have all of these be things that when you use them, okay, when you say them to yourself, they give you a visceral, emotional response that you feel that jolt of energy, excitement, motivation, optimism, whatever, run through your body. Because when that happens, that jolt of gratitude, when that happens, that's where we're getting the result that we want. Okay, so we can remove all the ones that don't apply. Then every morning, I do this every morning, but you could also do it anytime that you need a jump start in confidence, motivation, and optimism. What we're going to do is we're going to say them out loud to ourselves with feeling. So you can do this in a mirror. You can do this in your car while you're driving, your kids to school, whatever else. You could do it in the middle of the day if you're feeling down. It doesn't matter. But I make it a habit every morning because then it turns it into a habit. But I can also do it any other time during the day. And we want to do it with feeling. So it's not a race. It's not to try to get through all 10 really fast. It's to say that each one slowly and with feeling. So we actually feel the feeling of the emotion every time we do it, over and over. And you can do them, as many times as you can. So you don't need to say each one only once. You could say it 2, 3, 4, 5 times and feel it each and every time. Try to really feel or embody the thought for each one. Visualize, if it's a goal-oriented one, that you've already achieved that goal. It's not a race to do them fast. It's more important that we really feel. Because when we have the feeling, when we say the thing, present tense, first person, we're telling ourselves that this has already happened. That's what creates the belief in ourselves that it's true. And that's why this becomes more and more powerful the more we use it. Because it becomes more real. It becomes more believable. The first time you say some of these, you might even chuckle to yourself. You might yawn or hiccup. You might, shudder or something. You might actually literally have a physical response because you're sort of not used to it and your body's almost rejecting it. Stick with it and you will find that not only do you start to incorporate it, you start to really believe it. Even if it's, intellectually it's BS and it hasn't happened, you will start to really believe it. And when you do, you'll say it with more and more conviction. And when you do, that will build up your belief even more. And it will bring you closer and closer to it. So it's super powerful and it brings us closer to what we want faster. Try emphasizing different words in the sentence. So say it a different way to yourself each time. Try different tones. Sometimes say it whether you're pumping your fists. Sometimes say it when you're staring yourself wide-eyed in the mirror, whatever. Speak them with pride and confidence. And you will grow to be unstoppable. You may need to see the list initially, right? And look at it for reference and read them to yourself. And so it's hard to sort of look at yourself and read them to yourself. That's totally fine. But soon you'll have them all memorized. You'll know which ones work the best and you'll know which ones to replace. It's very simple, but it's a super powerful routine. I personally had some times where I was really struggling. I was working my butt off. I was doing everything I thought right, but things just weren't going my way. And it was very easy to feel down and defeated and like there was no escape from ever feeling that way again. But this is what I did. and I can promise you 100% that it works. Now, I like to start every morning with it, even when I'm feeling great, because it reinforces it all and it develops it into a habit. So now my normal state is far better and it's easier to get back up when I'm knocked down. So it might feel weird at first. Lean into it. That's okay. Just trust it. It's vital to stick with it. Believe that it works and commit to doing it. It gets easier and more effective over time, and we get better and better at doing it too. So the takeaway here is that every entrepreneur needs confidence, motivation, and optimism. And every entrepreneur has times when those are tested, pushed, beaten down. So we all need a simple, fast way to get back on track and start feeling like we can conquer the world again. This disarmingly simple routine works like magic. And like any other skill, it may feel strange or ineffective at first, but if we keep doing it, it gets more powerful over time and we get better at it too. The result is we can operate at our most effective level, which is what every entrepreneur should strive to do.